By far, one of the most unexplained parts of TF2's lore is the appearance of the mercs on both teams. Somehow, the employees on red and blue look the same. I mean, really, what are the chances of that happening realistically? It's been like this ever since day one of TF2's release, but I'm willing to bet that you've never really bothered to question why all the mercs look identical. Which brings us to this question. Why do all the mercenaries look the same? TF2 has always been a bit crazy with its lore, but Valve has never really bothered to explain why the mercenaries on both teams look the exact same. We could also say this about some of the in-game mechanics too, which will become prevalent later in the video. Through the many comics and videos we've gotten, there have been some but very minuscule details that have been shown. There are some hints that the mercs are clones, some hints that they're different people, and some hints that they just simply switch teams. All three of these are popular theories that the TF2 community has formed throughout the years. We're gonna go into each of them. Theory 1 is by far the most popular theory, and the most simple one. This one says that all the duplicate mercs that we see in-game are simply clones. Then there's also this scene from Meet the Medic, where Heavy straight up mows through a crowd of soldier clones. As for the comics and Meet the Team videos, we're supposedly seeing the perspective of the original mercenaries. These would be the 9 mercenaries that would later be used as a template for cloning. There's very limited evidence to actually support this one, outside of that one scene in Meet the Medic. The reason why cloning is such a popular belief is because both red and blue act the exact same. For this to fully work, a type of cloning process needs to exist. Personally, I think it has something to do with respawning, a respawning machine in particular. Although MSS Blue is set outside of TF2 lore, it did bring up a question that some people in the community had prior. How does respawning work exactly? So the existence of a respawn machine does entirely make sense. This respawn machine has the side effect of producing clones, and this was not known until later on in the Gravel Wars. Otherwise, I think the entire cloning theory works better when it's paired with 2 other theories on this list. Theory 2 suggests that the mercs on both teams are different people. They just look really similar. Rather than a clone conspiracy, both red and blue just happen to hire people that look exactly the same. There's nothing much to this other than a crazy coincidence happening. That or the Mann brothers just being stupid when hiring mercenaries. There are a couple hints that the mercs on both teams are different people. The first hints come from the Meet the Director comic. In it, it's stated that a man called the Director was hired to interview all the mercs on Red Team. This is the reason why some of the Meet the Team videos look like interviews. The Director is asking questions and we see their answers to said questions. But the evidence is shown through this brief detail. It's revealed that the director also interviewed the blue team. Hi, sorry for the change in mic quality. I need to correct the script real quick. It's revealed that the director never got the chance to interview blue team at all. And even though the administrator says that she's gonna hire a new director, clearly those interviews with the blue team never took place since we never get any elaboration on their existence after this. At most, it does confirm that blue team do have enough different characteristics to warrant a whole different set of interviews. The second piece of evidence is something you have all seen at this point, and that would be the Meet the Spy video. So consider this. If Blue Spy was in the intel room with Blue Scout, and Scout was actually Spy the entire time, technically we had 2 doppelgangers in the same room. And Blue Spy casually just talks about Red Spy as if he was an entirely different person. Of course, I'm overanalyzing it, but this is the only case where we see 2 of the same class interact in the same room together. The doppelganger theory is another simple explanation like the clone theory, just a coincidental, but I think it fits with TF2's humor pretty well. The third and final theory is a bit more complicated, and this one was made in response to the previous 2 ones. It's a bit newer. Theory 3 suggests that 9 mercs and only 9 mercs exist. It's only that they just switch teams occasionally. We have 2 potential pieces of evidence for this theory. The biggest one is related to the art style of the comics. In some panels, we see them in red uniforms. Other panels, we see them in blue uniforms. An example that does come to mind is the engineer. There are times we see him in a red uniform, but nearing the final couple of issues, he's usually seen in a blue outfit only. This direction with the drawings is never elaborated on, by the way. So it's probably meant to be something that you just disregard. The second piece of evidence is, well, auto balance. And that's right, TF2's most hated feature besides random crits is a major factor in this game's lore, in this specific case. Autobounds would indicate that some of the mercs are switching different employers, mainly for whoever is willing to pay them more. The third and final piece of evidence comes in the form of the teams themselves. Blue is dedicated to building things while Red is dedicated to blowing things up. Some mercs have traits or abilities that are more suited for the red team, while others have characteristics that make them more suited for blue. I think the best reference for this is the cover on the Fight Songs album. Demoman, Heavy, Spy, Pyro, and Medic are on red, Engineer, Scout, Sniper, and Soldier on blue. Over time, these have been accepted as the canon teams that each class would choose. Now is time. I'm going to try to come up with some type of timeline or story to explain all this clone stuff. I think a storyline works better if we combine all the theories into one narrative. I think it's more comprehensible that way. The whole story starts from the already established lore in the comics. But from here on out, most of this is going to be a lot of skepticism. We start in the early 19th century with the engineer's grandfather, Rannigan Conacher. After being hired by the Mann brothers, Conacher is introduced to the metal Australium. From here, he went on to invent a bunch of machines. In the story, Australium was used to design other inventions such as the life extender machine and the teleporter. Given the properties of Australium, one such invention could have been the respawn machine, or at least a very early prototype for it. Now let's jump to the early events of the game, which is in the 1960s. TF2 Industries hires the original mercenaries for each team. Throughout the TF2 comics and the official videos, we only focus on their perspective. By sheer coincidence, both of the Mann brothers happen to hire people that look the exact same. The 18 mercenaries would later be used as a template. As the original mercs participate in more and more battles, the respawn machines would see a high amount of usage. But at some point, one of the brothers would find out that the respawn machines had another potential use: cloning. By doing some more TF2 logic stuff, a massive amount of clones can be produced now. By the main events of the game, duplicates of the same class can exist. We can now reach the events of the game where, I guess you could say, the players themselves are in the lore. Duplicates of the same class can exist with some signs of individuality. Autobahn comes into play too. Sometimes the mercs will switch teams depending on which employer is willing to pay them more. The same also applies to the original mercenaries. Occasionally they would switch teams, but this probably didn't occur too often. There you have it. That is a very basic theory to try and explain the whole TF2 clone conspiracy. I actually originally made this video back in February, and as of recently actually went back and redid the part for Theory 1. So if you're wondering why there's like a sudden change in my voice, that's the reason why. Anyways, I'd like to thank you for the amount of views and support on the YouTube shorts that I've been like spamming on a daily basis, and I've been invading all my friends' YouTube feeds. I've gotten like 3 Discord DMs about it now. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I will see you later. See ya.